Have you ever had an in-class debate just kind of get heated? It goes from being something fun and engaging that we're doing in class to something cringy, something offensive, something that's now shifted into being personal for one or more students. Has that ever happened to you? It has to me too. In this video, I'll share how I avoid this heatedness problem with about a 99% success rate, and then what I do during the 1% of times when it still does sometimes get too heated. All right, nowadays my debates rarely get heated. When we're doing pop-up debate, it's really not a thing where strong emotions get involved. And this begins with my prompts. I steer pretty darn clear from emotionally loaded debate topics in my world history and English classes. Why? Because my goal with pop-up debates is not to teach my students to self-regulate emotion. I want them to be good at self-regulating emotion. That's a great skill to have. I'd like everyone to have that. But my debates are for deepening understanding, practicing argumentation, having a good time together, working with ideas. It's not about getting better at emotionally charged debate topics. That's not my class. And so I ask things like, what's the most important concept from the unit that we're finishing? Who's the most interesting character in this novel? Which was the most impressive state in this unit? What's the most challenging part of the writing process? These are topics that are totally germane to my courses and pretty devoid of emotional loadedness. I have a term for the type of argument I want my students practicing when they debate or write argumentatively in my class. Earnest and Amicable Argument. Here's a shot from my book, These 6 Things. This is a poster that I have in my classroom. Earnest and Amicable Argument is when your goal is to get to the bottom of things. You're having serious and focused conversation. Your aim is a good decision, a good conclusion, not winning. During this type of argument, all of us are at risk of needing to alter our views. You're taking seriously and fairly views that differ from your own. You're aiming at resolution, not justifying your opinion. And you're learning how to develop nuanced positions in this kind of argument. And so what I've just described with this Earnest and Amicable Argument poster is something that what do you see in American public discourse? 3% of us are good at? 5% of us? I don't know, because all the arguments that I see happening in public, they're typically really the opposite of amicable. They're antagonistic, they're zero-sum, and they're a bit lazy. They're not earnest. They do all the fallacy stuff. I don't really teach my kids the fallacy stuff. I think it's cool if you do. Teach your kids about argumentative fallacies. I love that. I don't do it, but I see tons of it in the culture. And so my effort to make our culture better is earnest and amicable argument. And it's so hard that you don't need, as a 9th grader, to practice it with high-charged topics. You don't need to discuss religion or politics or social issues to practice earnest and amicable argument. I think just course-related arguments are great. So what do I do when things do become heated? Let's say I have a prompt and it's a course-related prompt, but a kid still starts to get their goat going. They get angry. Or multiple kids get angry and they start to go at each other. In this type of situation, as soon as I detect it, I'm going to pause. I'm going to redirect us toward the core of the prompt. I may remind my students of a couple of repetitive ideas I throw at them. Debates are not meant to be personal. We attack ideas in debate, never people. Our goal is to get to the bottom of the question, not to tear anyone down. We are less interested in taking sides than we are growing smarter. I also try to model for my students in moments like this how to kind of laugh at myself, how to bring some targeting onto me or my ideas. So if I sense something getting heated, I'll go ahead and pop up and I'll give an answer that I think is I'll give an answer that I know is weak, so that I'm sort of inviting my students to attack my answer. And then as they do that, I'll model smiling and laughing, and I'll give some snaps if they give a good argument. So it's a little more of a show, don't tell type of a situation. If I start to sense heatedness happening, I'm never going to say like, hey, calm down, cut it out. Instead, I'm going to work at a redirect. And if I have a student who kind of habitually makes things personal, either when someone disagrees with them, they make it personal, or they'll use language that indicates that they're attacking someone's person rather than their idea, that's a student that I'll pull aside for a moment of genuine connection, just talk about what I'm observing, and just say to them, hey, I love hearing your thoughts during pop-up debate, but I do notice that you tend to get really upset. Any idea why that might be? I mean, our topic here is pretty blasé, right? This isn't the type of thing you're debating at home, I'm assuming. But I've noticed you take it really personally, and I want to understand if there's anything I'm missing, like what's going on there, because I don't want that for you. I don't want you to have to feel attacked in these. Or, hey, I'm noticing that oftentimes you use people's names, that there's a little bit of, I kind of hear a little snark in your tone when you use so-and-so's name and you debate with that person. Do you notice that at all? Is there any beef between you guys? I just want to remind you to keep it impersonal. Maybe pick a different person's idea next time to clash with, just so that person doesn't feel as targeted. So using these thoughts and methods, I would say that 99% of the time, my pop-up debates are very, very emotionally neutral, which is just how I want them, so we can focus on growing those brains. All right, colleague. Until next time, cheers.